Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. Okay, so today, what I thought was a lot of people I speak to when we talk about mission maps and creating seven-figure businesses, six multi six, seven upwards. There is always the steps, aren't there? So wherever you are now, and the next step, the next step, and the next step. So I appreciate for some people when we talk about $1 million missions, it might seem quite a big jump. There's two reasons why we talk about $1 million missions. One is because it's the stretching of the mind, the stretching of the aspirations, and to help you really go after something probably a little bit bigger than what you might have kind of envisaged. Secondly, it's because for all of us that are in transformation, conscious business, social change, diversity, equality, inclusion, justice, animal rights, human rights, planetary rights, all of that good juicy stuff that we all care passionately about, and making sure the future's safe for children and so on and so forth. We're really concerned about impact, but impact and income always go together, and I always see them as a yin and a yang. So sometimes you'll see marketers out there and they're just driven by the financials, so you'll find that's more capitalistic kind of marketing, and that will have in it things that might be a little bit more manipulative or pushy or salesy, and you can typically find them because they'll be the ones with the timers on the clocks, and the world's going to explode if you don't hit the button now and all that kind of jazz. And there's very, very long sales pages that go on and on and on and on and on. You're like, oh my god, it's like a book. And there's you can get on calls with those kind of things, and it's very much about trying to push and manipulate, and you can feel that. So that's more what I'm going to park over there for the capitalistic side. That's much more competitive. And that's not really where we are on the conscious side. It's more creative. So the creative side is more about thinking about ways to share missions and messages with your particular audience in a way that inspires them and makes them kind of go, oh my gosh, I really want this. I really want to work with that person. I want to join that group. I want to go on that retreat. I want to buy that book, whatever it is, so that they're doing it from within themselves. Now, there's a little caveat there. And there is sometimes people are a little bit on the fence, and it could be because they're nervous, because they're scared, because they're fearful, because they've had bad experiences. There could be that. Obviously, there could be the finances coming into play. Can I afford this? Is it really gonna? I mean, I hate the word ROI, but lots of people live by that. Like, am I going to get a return on investment? Some people go with the cost of inaction, the COI. So there's all different variables there. So sometimes we do have to be, and when I use the word persuasive, I want to make sure that I'm talking about in integrity. And so by persuasive, I mean inspiring, engaging, motivating, so that the person feels like, this is a good, safe option for me. Now, if you are sharing and offering with heart and soul, and you have integrity and so on, then it's fine for you to say to somebody, like if you're face to face with them on a call or whatever, honestly, I really think this would be a good move for you. And the good thing to do there is to build in guarantees. Guarantees are great for saying to somebody, I know it's a little bit easier on a digital download, or people can try something out like a membership group or a book or a course or something, and you can say money back guarantee. If you try this out for a week or whatever and you don't like it, you can get your money back. So that's obviously a straightforward one. It gets a little bit harder when people are delivering things that have got a time and monetary cost associated to them. So some of those kind of things, like the one I like to use is, we will work with you until you're happy. We will work with you until we've got XYZ result that we said we're going to get. So if, for example, we say we're going to do this, this, and this. It's going to take 3 months, and that's the cost of it, and that's what we're working towards, and that's kind of the outcome. If that takes 6 months for whatever reason, then it takes 6 months. That's on us, you know. So it's about what you are kind of guaranteeing people. What is it, your outcome, which is why outcomes are so important. So what I want to do today is to focus on 6 figures, mainly because I've spoken to a lot of people so far this year, and there seems to be you know, a bunch of people that have come into the group and so on and so forth that you know, maybe aren't at multi-6 yet, and maybe they feel that 7 is a bit of a sort of a far cry, a bit of a jump. And sometimes you've got to get the, you know, the mechanics and the basics down of 100,000 before you can grow into the person that's 250, that's 500, that's 1 million, that's up and up and up and up. And that is why one of the reasons the inner alchemy part is there, because it's all about you, your personal thoughts, beliefs, actions, feelings, your backstory, any traumas, any issues, any limiting beliefs, you know, all of these things come into play. So we can go and join as many groups and free challenges and free summits and freebie whatever as we like, and get books and courses and whatnot. But if you internally on oscillating at the vibration that's going to be like a 6-figure earner, then you're going to find that difficult. And we have to match those two things, the internal and the external, to get that result. And then we can build, you know, then we can go, okay, 250, 500, whatever. So I like the idea to stretch people with this whole $1 million thing, because for some people, you know, $1 million business isn't enough. You know, they want 5 million, you want 10 million, you want 20 million, you want 100 million, whatever. But you got to think they've got to start off at 0. Everybody starts off at 0. So it's really, really important to understand that everybody starts off the same, unless you are going to get a job inside somebody else's company that they've already, you know, built up, and you're walking into a position, or you have, I don't know, partners, investors, business angels, you're part of a startup that maybe is a tech platform or SaaS or something like that, where you know, millions have been pumped into the thing, and now you find yourself in a position of, you know, championing that money and looking after it, and that's a precarious position as well, because if that person isn't used to that amount of people, responsibility, juggling finances and whatever, you know, that person's going to have to up level pretty quickly. But today what I want to do is I create a little bit of a workbook, and I'm going to work through it with you. I'm going to keep my eye on the time. I'm going to try my best to keep this to 30 minutes, because I know how I go on and on and on, but it's because missions are so juicy, there's so much to it, and there's so many different components that I always like to try and make sure that I'm covering loads of things, because I want people to be able to walk away and kind of go, oh yeah, I got that now, or I need to work on that. So I'm going to screen share with something that I created for this call, so hopefully you can see that. Let's see how we can, yeah, it doesn't really matter, it doesn't matter about the bottom bit, but anyway, so let's have a look at this. So 6-figure mission essential steps. So the first thing is things that I would ordinarily cover, but I would cover in much more detail. I'm going to give you these like essential steps so that you can make sure you're ticking them off to address the next point. So if we're going to set a 6-figure mission, so we're going to set the task of creating 100,000. I'm going to talk in dollars. I always talk in dollars. It's easier. I mean, obviously I'm in the UK, but I just stick to dollars. It's just easier for everybody. You can kind of convert it to your own currency, but $100,000 is where we're going to work on. So step 1, you know, you really want to know your mission, your message, your origin story, and your audience. So before we can do anything, this is why I end up being long-winded, is because I'm always backtracking. I will not ever come to this step 5, which is what you see capitalistic marketing doing. Sell, market, sell, get in front of people, sell. Oh my God. That really bothers me, because I'm like, what are you selling? What thought have you put into it? What effort? What there's just so many different things we need to do before we can get to those. I'm not suggesting that these 4 steps take you 4 years to do. I'm just saying that the deeper and more heart and soul you put into these steps, the better the outcome by the time you get to step 4. So step 1, when I say know your mission, you've got to articulate it. I am on a mission too. What is it that bothers you? What is it that you feel that you're here to do, that you can help with, that your particular journey, set of skills and all the rest of it is going to make a difference to. So we really need to know what that mission is. The message is all about who you help, how you help them, and what kind of outcomes they do. I've talked a lot about messaging before. Origin story. What is your background? Let's find out about you. We need to know about you, because you are the mission leader and people are buying into you. So if you take, I'm just going to take a world famous brand because this is going to be easier. So if we take the Virgin brand, but we take Richard Branson, if you look at those two kind of brands, if you like, he gets more followers than Virgin does, even though Virgin has got lots of different companies. And in each of those companies, he has a different board and stakeholders and management and employees and all the rest of it. So whilst there are tons and tons of businesses going on there, and the Virgin is the brand that everybody's heard of, because he's the founder of it, people are usually mostly interested in him. So that's why your origin story is so important, because people are always curious about the people behind something. So that's the same with Apple, isn't it? And Steve Jobs. It's the same with quite a lot of big companies, unless the company has really made a point to sort of bury the founders and just go on brand. So, for example, if you think about something like Nike as an example, there is the story about the founder, but I actually can't remember off the top of my head who the founder's name is. And that is because Nike as a brand like to get athletes to endorse the brand. So they like to create subsets of different niches of sports within Nike that have like ambassadors, have these superstar sports people that are really known, and then they'll pivot that whole thing around that person, which also reminds me of like Under Armour. So Under Armour as a sports brand, for an example, they have a really interesting story, and you can chart where they've gone to in terms of their inception, where they kind of the peak as it kind of went up, and then the way they went down, and then they got The Rock involved, and now they're gone because again they've attached a massively well-known iconic figure to their brand. So now obviously you always see him wearing Under Armour, and Under Armour then obviously their IP became big business, and that made them. But behind Under Armour there was a few people that founded that company. So sports is obviously a particular one for that, and music would be quite similar as well, in that it's the record companies, the record labels, but the record labels are really showcasing their artists, and then the artists are that byproduct of the label. But invariably what I'm saying there is that all brands have a story, they all have founders, they all have things. So the people is what everybody's interested in. So your origin story, whether you think it or not, is actually really important and really interesting. And it does several things. It showcases who you are, who you're here to help, and how you're doing it, even if you're not necessarily the face, there's a brand. And also it helps people to figure out like values and things of the ethics and all these different kinds of things about that brand, and whether that resonates with them. So all those things are important. Now, when we move on to the messaging is just a neat way of explaining that, so that if people always do that elevator pitch thing, don't they? But really, and essentially the point of the messages is how can we learn to better articulate what we do, how we do it, and who we help, and what the outcome is, in such a way that our audience, whether they're our audience or not, can understand us. Because I have a tendency, for example, because we have 4 departments and I get very excited about missions, I can actually go on and on and on about all these different departments and all these amazing people and all the different missions we do, and that is not consolidated down. So I could literally, I mean, I remember somebody having said to me one time in a big event, and I was sort of speaking about things, and they went, "Oh my God, you've got everything and the kitchen sink in there," you know, because what they meant is that is not a concise pitch. So it's really worth working on that messaging and everything, and continue to do that. So they're the key things there. Now those can be done quite quickly, but they also can be done over time. So I would always say depth. You'll always hear me say soul, depth, heart, whatever, because I always look for that juicy substantialness. I don't like flighty, shallow, off the top of your head, that'll do mediocrity. I don't subscribe to that. So, but at the same time, from an entrepreneurial perspective, I am very much of the mindset of let's get something done and let's get it out there so we can start serving people. But for sure, we can come back and keep making sure that, you know, making it better, making it sharp, and making it more cohesive. So that's an ongoing journey. Step 2, what products and services do you offer? What do they look like? How much do they cost? So here, now I'm going to pretend, just for the illustration purposes of this, that the person's got certain different types of services, offers, products, whatever they've got something. However, let's just say they're not hitting 6 figures yet, or they can't quite figure out why it's not working, or whatever their particular challenge is. So we're going to take a step back and we're going to have a look at what those products and services are. What do they look like really means, like, what is the title of the offer? What is it you get in the offer? How is it delivered, and how much does it cost? And then the most important factor is, what does that do for the person looking to buy it? So we need to know all those different things for those particular offers, and then we can figure out what we're going to do next to create this 6 figures. Now, step 3, focus on one main offer, create, test, prove. So what I'm saying there is, obviously, that let's say in this previous step 2, you've got a bunch of things there, but let's say one of them you've never done before, or you've created something new and you've not had any clients or whatever for it, so it's not necessarily proven. So you have to be continually creating and testing and proving these models, even in conscious business, because is it the very best it can be? And I think we can get into lazy kind of mode if we go, well, you know, this is, I've done this for years and, you know, it kind of works, why would I change it? But actually you need to, because I always say to people, like, you know, you've got to keep the finger on the pulse, and you need to look at innovation, you need to look at technology, you need to look at platforms, you need to look at the ways of delivering these things, because I don't like using the word competition, but to a degree it's true. There's lots of people out there offering what potentially could be similar services, and you've got to think back to your mission. If your mission looks like you created it in the 1970s, is what does that really say to other people? I'll go on to that in step 4, but you know, you got to take a lot of these variables into account. Correct pricing and positioning. So right now you might have a bunch of services, products, whatever it might be, and they might be set at certain price points that are out of date. Maybe they're too high, maybe they're too low, maybe the content needs upgrading, elevating, whatever it might be. And the positioning in terms of offer stacks, and stacks can go horizontally or vertically, or they can do both. So looking at this sort of offer stack on a mission map is really important. So we're just going to focus on one main one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So step 4, creative media. This is your online presence, brand, web, socials, and how people meet you. So what I just mentioned in step 3, we talk about in step 4. So for me, that is, let's get back to your 1970s, 1980s website. I come across it every single day. Awful branding, things that people have put together. I don't even know what software they're using to put together these things, because they're so bad. I can't even imagine a child doing them as bad, because the software exists where you don't have any excuse to do anything bad. So I don't get it. We have every variation. So you'll see things like this done on Canva Pro, okay? But we also have very high level designers and filmmakers where to work with them is going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars because the work is top level. But we use all of them, all the different things, on purpose, because some things you want to produce quite quickly, but you want them to look good, and other things are a little bit more longevity. So like a website's got more longevity to it. A video that articulates, you know, who you are and what you do has got more longevity. Social media, for example, yes, you can pay companies to do it, and you know, there are things that, you know, we can do and whatever, but I tend to not like to do that, in the sense of I prefer it when we create a brand for somebody, give them the whole guidelines, and then they can upload that into Canva, and then they can work on certain parameters. Now, yes, of course, people like us can create all kinds of fancy images and all the rest of it, but for this 100K thing, we don't need to get into spending, you know, 10 grand on social media posts. That'd be a complete waste of money. However, it is really, really important from a creative media perspective that you do spend some time and effort in it. And if you're not creative, you've got one of two things to do. You either find somebody on Fiverr or a VA or something, that somebody else that is creative, obviously, or you can hire a social media company, or you can do it as parts of packages in with people like us. But at the same time, this 100K thing, I would highly suggest you just use Canva and do it yourself, or get some help. Step 5, where is it best for you to offer and share what you do? How can they reach you and work with you? So really, this is where we go into sharing and offering. So what we're saying now is this is the message, sorry, I can't say it, mission. This is the message. This is the origin story. This is who the audience are. These are kind of like the offers. This is a particular offer. This is how we share that offer through our website, our social media, and I'll go on to a little bit more of that in a second. And you know, where we're going to stick it. Are we sticking it on LinkedIn? Are we sending it to Facebook? Are we on podcasts? Are we doing PR? Are we doing joint ventures? Are we doing shout outs? You know, what are we doing? Where are we reaching these people? And then how can they reach you and how can they work with you? Because we don't do all of this beautiful stuff here and then just send out lovely niceness and then not be I know everybody says C2A, call to action, but what's important about that is just really the reminder of, oh, okay, at the end of some posts, not all of them, you know, DM me, or here's our mailing list, or here's our group, or you know, if you'd like to speak to a specialist, here's a call link. They are really, really important, because you need to remember that you want to save people time. People don't want to be hunting around trying to figure out how to get in touch with you. They can't be bothered. They're not as enthusiastic about you, your business, your offer, your mission as you are. You are always, as I say, the mission leader. You know, we are the ones that are most excited about what we do. Other people will become that once they've had the experiences of it and they've got the benefits of it. Then they'll become a bit more evangelistic in terms of, oh my God, that was awesome. I love working with you, and you're going to get great case studies and testimonials. But in this process, they're like, yeah, whatever. You're just not that bothered. So this is why these 2 steps are really important. We've got to be very careful about how we speak to people. When I say how we speak, I mean, like, what are we saying to them? How are we saying it? What are we connecting with them? Are we gauging with them? Is it emotive enough for them? You know, are we speaking to them? And then obviously, where are we putting it? And then how are we getting them to connect back? So that's those pieces. Let's just quickly move on. So creating your offer packages. Now, I just did, for this sake of this illustration for 100K, I just wanted to give you some examples. These are the commonest ones. There are hundreds of different offers. There's loads of different products. There's hybrids. There's all kinds of things. I've not put on here, you know, events or retreats. I haven't put on here, you know, products like books or packages, or just loads of things, but I just want to give you the simplistic one. So a one-off is something that people can download. It's a membership, it's a package, it's a digital course. It's something where I'm going to go on some kind of page, read about something, I'm going to hit buy, and then I get it. So I either get it in a post or I get it digitally downloaded. So this is your kind of one-off stuff. Now, I put here price point wise, I mean, it could be cheaper than $7, to be honest. It could be $1. But anyway, it could be free, and it could also be by donation. So, pay what you want. It could be anything. And I've put up to roughly 2,000, just because typically speaking, if we do sales pages or webinars or anything like that for a digital course, I'm thinking of here, you're not really going to be able to sell anything higher than 2K without somebody getting on a call or meeting you, because people are most likely not want to spend a certain amount of money on a card online without any kind of human interaction. But it can be done, and I do know people that have done that. I personally wouldn't, but they can. Group, I'm just saying. So this actually has got the information that was in here as an example, not my information. But never mind, we can go with this one. 3 host accounts. This is actually a computer example, but never mind. That's fine. We can have 10 email accounts if we want. So a group, we're going to go 299 to 50 grand. I know that's some people are going to go, what, for a group? But I'm just telling you what the market is for some of these things. 299, some people might go, well, I've sold a group for $100. You maybe have. I'm just saying that, roughly speaking, $300 would be very cheap for a group. And what I would have had in here was a group could be again, like some sort of membership with some one-on-one time, or with group coaching calls, or with some sort of live event, or with sort of like VIP days. It could be any kind of ensemble of all kinds of different things, and it should be usually finite. So it's like, join this for 90 days, join this for 6 months, join this for 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks. It's usually got some kind of thing. Something that might be like a 50 grand thing or whatever. I've seen, depending on who it is, you see, this is a thing. This is the higher numbers tend to be people that have got themselves to that point. So these numbers I've put in are not your 100 grand a year people. These are people doing multi-millions, and therefore they charge those prices not because they're trying to rip people off. It's because their time is now so in demand that they have to portion it out. So you'll most likely find that their one-on-one packages are priced in the way that they are because they literally haven't got the time. So I'm not saying that anybody on 100k, but you could be somebody that's going, actually, I've worked out I could get 10 people in a 10k group, and that's my 100k. That's why I'm sharing this with you, to give you some of those ideas. One-on-one, again, I did it as a lowest thing. Some people might do a $500 package, or $250 an hour for 2 sessions, or whatever it is. 250k. I do know there's people out there that charge $1 million for stuff, but I did up to 250k because I didn't want to get into wacky land too much. And again, that shouldn't say 6 hosting or whatever, but this is good. This is good that there's the mistakes, isn't it? So this is the human part. This is a human part of, we want to put something together, we want to do some content, we want to get it out, and it's got mistakes on it. Ooh, something that would normally not happen with me, because I what's the word, proofread everything. But I obviously got so distracted with the other pages that I didn't notice that didn't update. But anyway, I'm going to keep on going with it because it doesn't really matter. So one-on-one, as we know, is one-on-one prices. Now, there's different types of one-on-one. So if you're something like a coach, a consultant, a teacher, a trainer, a techie person, or somebody that's literally going to be selling your time for these packages, then the bit that I put up here in terms of what do they look like and how much they cost, you're going to be charging something that's pro rata to that because it's your time. If, for example, like us, we have a consultancy and an agency, our one-on-one looks very different, because, for example, you wouldn't be, if I said to you, okay, so to work with us on this package to get X, Y, Z, it's 15,000 or 30,000 or whatever, you're not paying that to me as a consultant. It's because we have done with you and done for you. It would be me saying, okay, so for that amount of money, we are going to create you an amazing website, an amazing brand. We're going to do social media. We're going to create you a piece of film. We're going to create you a funnel. We're going to do all the split testing. You know what I mean? So you're going to physically get something for that money alongside the consulting and alongside the inner alchemy. So you will end up with a team with lots of different deliverables. So that's why I'm saying to you, you have to work out what does it cost you to do, because sometimes I see people that don't really think through packages and offers and the time, and whether people can email you, whether they can WhatsApp you, you know, what people are going to give you. Because if you don't set parameters and guidelines on this stuff, you know, you'll find, I remember many years ago, there was an offer that I worked with somebody. So he was doing millions. He had too many people. He couldn't cope with them. So I was helping this guy with his mentoring, and I was doing some of the calls. And once the people realized that in this particular package that they paid, I think it was about 8 grand for, and it was like 3 months. They got three one-on-one calls. The rest were group coaching calls, but then they got like a couple of days event at the end. And once people realized that they only were getting 3 calls with me, they were like, oh my God, that's not enough. I need you more. So then what they did is, in between the calls, I would literally get tons of emails and voice messages, because what they were trying to do is maximize those 3 hours that they had with me. And me personally, that was not a viable option, because I am, as a mentor, getting paid for those hours of my mentoring and my consulting, not to read through, you know, pages and pages and pages and pages of content and things, which quite frankly would have required, you know, 25 hours of my time. So these things are really important. And I am aware that I've gone over, look, 30 minutes. Look, I can't do it, can I? I should have maybe said 45 for something like this, but yeah, there we go. But again, you see, I'm doing this all live, whatever, with you, because I want you to understand that I'm not saying that it doesn't matter. It's not about it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying that, you know, we're all human, we're all people. And when you want to deliver things and when you want to help and serve, sometimes things take a little bit longer. And I know that I'm quite thorough. I literally, you know, we talked about, I did a post today on neurodivergency and whatever, you know, I cannot help that. I am just like a deep person. Missions are very deep, complex things for me. And I'm not able to do, you know, 3 tips to do to make $1 million. I mean, that to me is insane. I just, no, I couldn't do it. It makes my head explode. But anyway, so creating 100 grand in impact and income. So offer 1, price point, delivery time and cost. This is what we've just taught. And how many per month do we want or need to sell of this particular price point? Offer 2, offer 3. So the same thing again. We're working out what the offers are. So the name of them, what do they help people with, what are they going to get as part of it, how long is it going to last, how long is it going to cost, and then from our perspective, the deliverables, what does it cost us? You know, you might have to host things on certain platforms, you might have to do Zoom meetings, you might have to you know, maybe you bring in other experts on different things. I don't know, we need to figure all that out. And then how many per month do we need to create this 100k? I've just put here, look, outbound, inbound calls and offers, meaning outbound is stuff like, you know, when you organically outreach to people. So connecting with people in LinkedIn, on Facebook, DMing them, having conversations, arranging calls to meet people, going into groups, friending people in groups, putting up content in groups. So this is all outbound. We are going out there and doing it. Inbound is when you have like a website with a blog or articles, or you have maybe you write for a magazine, or you stick things on different platforms, and therefore the SEO and that's tracking on certain things that you've already created, you're getting income in inbound from that. So people are landing on your website, they're landing on your sales page, they are coming to look at things, and then they're requesting, the download from you, they're requesting a call from you, and so on. And then it's like, we've got to figure out how many calls do we need per month and how many offers do we need to make, because typically, even if you are the best of the best of the best of the best of the best in the world of what you do, if you have 10 people in front of you and you did 10 calls, unless you are some serious kind of manipulative salesperson, you are not going to have 10 people join up to your program. Industry standards is usually people quote around 30%. So they'd say for every 3 in 10. And I think that's a good thing to share, because some people get down if they feel like, oh, I'm talking to a lot of people, but not everybody's wanting to come on my course. Remember that buying decision is on them and not on you. So providing you've done a good enough job, which is why I'm going back to this, as long as you've done enough good enough job here, then the rest is on that individual. Yeah. But our really good stat would be 40 to 60. So if we, and I don't like the word qualified, but I'm going to use it. So qualified means they want what you are doing, is something they actually want, not like, oh, I'm just window shopping for a new dress. It's they actually want it. The second part of qualified is they can afford it. So meaning, they've got to, whether they have to pay for it monthly or stick it on a card or do whatever they want to do, they want it and they're going to go and pay for it. And then the third piece of that is good fit, which is why people always say, good fit. But what you'll have nowadays, you'll see a lot of people, and I hate this personally, I know hate's a strong word I shouldn't use, but anyway, you'll see people say, before we get on a call, I need to check these things with you to make sure it makes sense for us to carry on the call or to carry on with whatever. I hate that, because what they're literally saying is they want to know, and I say hate it because that's what they'll do in the DMs or emails. It's the very thing. So they don't want to get on a call with you. Now, anybody who's jumped on calls with us, you'll see we have questions on there that would help us to understand where you're at, where you want to be, where you want to go, and things like your not necessarily income, but affordability, just purely because there's no point in, let's say I'm doing a call with you now and I don't know anything about you, and you've come through the group $1 Million Missions, and I start rabbling on to you about $1 million business and talking to you about an amazing film we could make for you, let's say, and you then go, oh, can I just stop you there? I'm thinking of setting up, or I've just set this thing up six months ago and I don't really know what I'm doing, or currently I'm making $30,000 a year. Can you see how ridiculous that other conversation would be? So it's really important that we know information about people. Now, I did some quick figures for you just so you can see an idea. 100k is roughly 8,333. That's actually 0.333 reoccurring, but anyway, I just put 8,333. So let's have a look at this. If we had one offer, these are really standard low prices, so I just use these because these are common as anything. So offer one, $27 something or other. This could be a $27 book package, download, course, video series, membership. It could be anything. Yeah, so 27 is just a random figure I plucked out of thin air. You would need 308 of those per month to make $8,000. Okay, let's say we've got a $497 mini package, mini group, something or other. Let's say it's a group, so we need, I know I put 16.7, but let's call it 17 people per month to hit 299. Let's say we've got a $3,000 package for some sort of one-on-one coaching or a group or whatever the thing is, and we need 2.7 people per month of that to get about 8,000. Okay. Now, the reason why I've deliberately done it like this is traditionally digital marketing taught this way around. It was like, get your low offer in, get your funnel going, then, add on some group coaching, then add on one-on-one. I can't flip this because it's a PDF, but I want to flip it and say, no, you know where I went back here? Dun, 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 dun. Focus on one. I always do it the other way around. I go top down. It's a simple reason. If we're not selling 300 of these per month, I mean, you know, maybe 8 grand's, you know, great to you at the moment. But what I'm saying is, let's say, you know, you needed 8,000 just to breathe, let's just say. Can you see how hard it is for us to sell 308 of those off the bat? And I mean, without, because obviously if we're trying to get to 100k, I'm going to make the strong suggestion that we're not doing Facebook ads at this point. We're not doing JVs. We're not doing anything that's really getting our stuff in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Not unless you're exceptionally good at reels and videos and stuff online that you can get it through in front of 10,000 people per month, and you've got an amazing landing page that is converting people like hotcakes. Then you could probably do that. But let's just assume for now, for this purpose, that you're not. So let's look at these offers. This is always going to be a better one to find some sort of really good, juicy one-on-one package or a group or something, and we look for less people. Once we've got something like that rolling and something's happening, then we can add on that and add on that. Now, some people might not ever need to add on. I mean, I just gave 3 because I tend to work in 3s. For some people, they don't need offer 1 and 2. They're only ever going to do offer 3. So go back to the other person that I said that, let's say you've got a 10k program and you work with 10 CEOs or 10, you know, leaders or whatever per year, and 10 gives you, you know, 100k, and maybe you're done. Maybe you don't want anything else from that. I mean, I would say, well, that's level 1 ticked. I want to do some more things now. But if that person's happy and that's all they want, and that makes them a perfect lifestyle, then go for it, stick with it. What we would do once we've done that is then we would create like a 250 one and a 500 one, and, you know, all the way up to 1 million. And then when you got to 1 million, you know, then some of the game's going to change. Generally speaking, you'll see online people say things like, you want to be making 20 or 30,000 per month before you even think about ads. The reason why they say that is because in the early days of ads, you've got to do a lot of split testing. You've got to beta test a lot of things and a lot of variables. Now, you could be lucky, you could have an amazing ad person. And obviously things like that, in terms of agencies, we always try super hard to make sure we've got the messaging nailed down. We know the audience, we know what they're going to react to, we know what they like, we know how to engage them and get them excited. But proof's in the pudding, and we have to do that for so many months with repetition, consistency, and that it's not just a fluke, that it's not just that particular set of people. So you know, the point I'm getting to is, you know, some of those things, getting into data analysis and analytics and all that kind of stuff, can, you know, gets a little bit time consuming. So I hope that's been useful. I'm nearly at 45, but I just wanted to say, for now, if we go all the way back to here, look, I'm going to change that PDF before I share it. In fact, I might, because I don't think in the group it will let me add the PDF as such, so you might have to I might have to DM it you or something. But anyway, go through these steps, figure something out, and then focus on, you know, working out all your different costings and so on and so forth. And then I would recommend we go with this. We start here. If, for example, you don't have that and you're a group person, then obviously I don't know what we could charge for your group, because I don't know what's in it. I'm not saying these prices are right, because I've got no idea what your offer is, what your audience is, what value you're bringing, what results you get. I don't know any of those variables, and those variables are going to massively impact. So, for example, I know somebody who, if they well, as I know them, but they I know somebody that did a sales training group, which I'm not particularly a fan of, but anyway, they did well with it. People that wanted to learn how to connect with people and talk to them, because a lot of people see sales as some big scary thing, which is why I like to call it sharing and offering, because once you're in the mindset of, oh, okay, I'm the mission leader, my sole job is to share this mission with as many people that it could really help as possible. And then all I need to do is walk them through, you know, where they're at, how I can help them, what it's going to look like, what they're going to get out of it, what the medium of delivery is, and how much it costs. Boof, bish bash bosh, done. Then I don't need to be worrying about this sales thing and getting all, you know, up about, oh my God, I've got to ask people for money. Because really what you're doing is, if you're just sharing the value and sharing what you're offering all day long, you can stand behind the price. Anyhow, so this sales group, I'm going to say, I'm sure it's like an 8-week course. And back a few years ago, I was using this as an example, this guy was charging something like $8,000 per person for an 8-week course, and he tended to like around 10 people on it. So that's $80,000. Now, he felt confident in what he was doing and he had the ability. You might be horrified at that and go, I can't charge $8,000, but maybe you could start by charging $2,000. Maybe the 2,997 works for you. Maybe your program's shorter and it's 6 weeks and you want to charge 2,500. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't spoke to you. I haven't met you. That's why we're always offering calls, because we can't give detailed illustrations if we don't know the info. There's a lot of data to come in. But I hope that gives you some sort of understanding of why, when I give you the overviews and I talk a lot about all these different kind of things and getting them right, is because they're all stacking. They're all stacking on top of each other, and then they're all rolling, and then that thing rolls forward, and you know, that makes a difference overall. So I hope that's been useful. I will correct that error in that page, and I'll just tweak that, and then I'll put this little mission map up. Well, it's not a mission map actually, it's just some essential steps. And yeah, any questions on it, or if you want to speak to us about it, then you know, please do get in touch. And yeah, would love to create one of those for you and help you with the just the different, you know, maybe there's a few blind spots. Some people, you know, they have this and this, but they just need a little bit of consulting on a couple of pieces. Other people might be really good and have a lot of back stuff done, but then they might not be so great on the creative, and so they need help on things like branding or a piece of film. And when I say film, I don't necessarily mean a feature-length movie made about you. I mean something like a 2 to 3 minute explainer video. Or if you look on our landing page right now, we've got one that's like 30 seconds, then there's a whole 5-minute film. So you can literally have a 30-second teaser, you know, like a trailer. Or you can have something that's like testimonial based, which is like a bunch of people that have left you really good case studies that we can then compile into a really nice piece for 2 to 3 minutes that showcases with people, look, you know, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And you know, we're interacting with different words, images and people, so that people get a real good sense and feel of that sort of stuff. And I always feel that with anything like video and that sort of stuff, it helps people really connect with who you are. And I know it's a really old phrase, which I'm not particularly keen on, but this whole know, like, trust thing stuck because it's kind of true. You know, people need to get to know you. If they don't like you, then quite frankly, you don't really want to get them on a call, because if they've already decided that they don't like you, there's no point. So that's really important. And the trust thing is super important. And I think you know, I would always say for conscious business, you've got to go with your intuition and intuitively feel into it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And if that person's really pushing you and hammering you, don't do it. And also, you know, think about what it is you want out of it, and if they can deliver it, which is why I said guarantees and all these kinds of things come into play. So yeah, you've got to do your due diligence there and back, what you offer out and what you buy in. You know, it's all super important. Anyway, so I hope that's been of some use today, and let me know if you've got any questions or anything that I completely made no sense over, and I'll update that little file and you can have that with pleasure. And I'll look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.